Hi, this is Steven from Just Got Played, and I wanted to share with you this prototype copy of Tiny Epic Cthulhu I got. So you can see it's same size as a normal Tiny Epic game, but it's a prototype, so it's not completely finished. I'm going to go over what's in this box, and I'm going to talk about like a lot of the cards and stuff, because I think a lot of the components in here aren't going to be the cool final components you get, like screen printed pieces, and there's probably not a tentacle spinner in here. I don't know. We'll see. There's a nice bag here. So it's a cooperative game. And so the game has to be able to beat you. And one way it beats you is these tentacles come out of this bag. And those can overflow in places and cause problems. All right. So we have the rule book here. And there was like a mini expansion with the deluxe version. So got that rule book as well. And it looks like they have dice tutorials. I doubt those are live yet, but I'm not sure. So if you look here, there's going to be cool screen printed stuff, cool dice. You've got this spinner here with this, weird tentacle looking thing. A lot of other components to the game. There's always a lot of components in a Tiny Epic game. It is tiny, but it is epic. All right, so game setup. You can look at all the different pieces. A lot of these Tiny Epic games actually take up a lot of space on the table once you get them laid out. Talks about the town cards, the player mats, the page cards, the Great Old One. There's several different Great Old Ones. You're always just dealing with one of them. How things become accursed. That's what I was mentioning before. I was saying things sort of overflow and bad things happen. So on your turn, you got to spin the wheel. Then you have some actions that you can do. All right. You've got shamblers that come out. Got to clear those, otherwise they can cause problems. Got to collect the tentacles, banish the shamblers. Ultimately, you're trying to translate page cards, because you need to translate all the pages of the Necronomicon in order to then begin to close the portals, which once you close all the portals, that's how you defeat or seal the portals. That's how you defeat the old one and win the game. But of course, you can lose in multiple other ways. All right, there's a solo game mode. This game probably plays pretty well solo. I've only played it. I played it as a 3-player game at BGGCon a while ago. Then back the game and got this early copy. So that's cool. We got an appendix, quick reference on the back, a lot of different colors for the tentacles there. I don't know what the Cult of Chaos expansion is. I mean, there is a cultist and followers, right? And so they just move around the map, like casting spells and causing other problems. So it's just one more thing I think you have to deal with. So it talks about what the changes are there. There's a solo variant of this as well. I think this is just to up the difficulty of the game, although in the base game, there are ways to up the difficulty. Some of the monsters are harder. Cthulhu's the hardest. Some of the old ones are harder. And also you can put like some of the nasty tentacles, the eldritch tentacles or whatever they're called, in the bag. You can add more to make the game tougher as well. So anyway, there you go. I'm going to set these things aside, and we'll see what we have in here. So right off the bat, I don't know what those are. Okay, so there are different cards. I mentioned the pages of the Necronomicon. So as you're going around, around the city, there's 6 different city spaces laid out. You'll have to translate these pages, essentially. So you spin the tentacles, and it tells you which pages you translated. And I don't know if that's maybe some kind of reward or something you get for doing that. And then eventually you have to, fill all these out. So like I said, you got to translate all the pages before you can seal. Here's the back of these, before you can start sealing portals. I don't know what these are. It's interesting. So just sort of artifacts. I don't remember artifacts for the game. So there you go. There's some interesting artifacts. All right. Hey, it does look like I have stickered version of the cool dice, right? So the dice are custom. There's one side that's got 2 tentacles, one side that has Cthulhu, and one side that has 1 tentacle. So a Cthulhu is basically like rolling a 0. So, in the game, sometimes you're trying to defeat things and you got to roll a certain number of tentacles. That was an awful roll. I got 1 on 3 dice. Okay. what else do we have in here? So again, this is generic. This is not what the game is going to look like, so I'm not going to bother with that. Same with this, right? This is, a prototype copy, so it's just, it's here to be able to be played. And even the meeples, like I showed you in the manual, the pictures of the screen printed ones. So we're going to skip that. Oh, here's the screen printed piece. This must be, is this the Great Old One piece? So there is always one Great Old One moving around town. And then there's also like a strength token that goes on their board. So I'm not sure which token that is supposed to be. I think this is there. You're going to get 4 different Great Old One tokens in the base game. So I think this is one of the Great Old Ones. It's pretty cool though. All right. So here's the spinner that has to be assembled, right? So I haven't assembled that yet. I guess that's just going to snap in there and then find the other part that goes in the bottom. And I'll show you how that works here in a second. Oh, astral artifacts. Okay, so that explains those cards that I saw earlier. I didn't know what this was. Okay, maybe this is what makes a deluxe game deluxe, and Cult of Chaos is an expansion. I don't particularly remember, but yeah, there you go. There's the artifact cards. There's tokens for all the different cards. Yeah, all right. So this is probably what makes a deluxe version deluxe. The extra stuff that's added versus retail. These components here. Okay, cool. All right, well, let's look at we'll pull up the maps, look at some of the city locations, right? All right, so there's the store, the inn, the library, the park, museum, the shrine, the observatory, and they are double-sided, but they seem to have the same sort of locations in the back. All right, so let's talk about what's here. So these are places where, let's see, so I think I get this right? So the Eldritch Tentacles, I think, maybe go here. Shamblers go here. And then the other different colored tentacles, they go here. And, for instance, if there's 3 blue ones here and you need to add another blue one, then it becomes accursed and bad things happen. Every location has some ability you can do, right? So at the shrine, you can trade any face-up page card from one town card location with another face-up page card at a different location. Being able to move those around can be helpful because moving costs actions, and also you can't move through the Great Old One on the map, which can make it difficult sometimes to get where you're trying to go. At the top here, these are going to be set up around the spinner, right? And when you spin it, it tells you a couple of things, right? So I can't remember which is which, but so like the Great Old One goes to one location, but then you trigger what happens at the other location. So this one, for instance, this is pointing at that red. So a red tentacle would go here. But essentially, and this is pointing here, which is, that looks like a discard or add another of those sort of purple wild tentacles to the discard mat, maybe, which is actually beneficial to you. Whereas I don't know if these other things are good or bad offhand, what all of them are, but that one's not so bad. But it is interesting that when every turn, at the beginning of your turn, you got to spin the spinner, and then depending on where it's pointing here and where it's pointing there, different things happen. So that's why these are up here to tell you sort of which tentacle goes out at the location. All right, cool. All right, let me put that stuff aside, and I will pull out the cultist mat is in here. There's a bunch of mats in here. Actually, it's so full, it's hard to get out. All right, so here's the cultist mat. So again, this is part of the Cult of Chaos expansion. So not entirely sure how that works. But yeah, it looks like it's got a space for those cultist tentacles, and yeah, I don't know, maybe you just have to keep clearing them off and putting them here. Everybody has a board, right, or an individual card here. So you've got a character, so you've got a name, and then your sort of brain token goes here, and this is measuring your madness. It's interesting because you get more reroll ability essentially as your madness goes up. But if you get all the way to insane or whatever, that's one way everybody loses the game if a single player goes insane. But otherwise, you store these different tentacles down here, and you use those tentacles like currency to do things. So, for instance, on the Necronomicon pages I showed, you have to use these tentacles to translate that page. And yeah, everybody has a special ability, and it shows you what your screen printed token looks like. So after translating, peek at the next 3 cards of the page deck and put them back in any order. All right, that's kind of cool. So you can, bring to the top one that's easier maybe for you to resolve, and then you're already at the location. All right, so yeah, and here's the name of the different tentacles. Blue are fear, red is rage, this yellow greenish is greed, and these purple ones, which are kind of like wild, chaos. All right, cool. So that's the student, and that's the student's special ability. Let me find some other characters here. We've got the priest. The priest, so after banishing a shambler, again, you got to make sure that the shamblers don't overflow in any town section. After banishing a shambler, you may choose a different color tentacle to move to the discard mat. That's interesting. So normally you move, as tentacles get used up or whatever, you move them to the discard mat, and then at some point they go back from the discard mat into the bag, and you can draw them again. All right, so there's the priest. Got the detective. I don't know the difference in the two sides. Maybe this side is for solo. Yeah, I don't know. All right, the detective. Flip all page cards from each location you pass when moving. So normally you only, you got to stop at a location, and then you can flip the page card. But this person, they can flip them just as they're moving along. So, flipping those over is nice because then you know what you need to collect, to go back and translate that page. So that's cool. What else we got here? We got a hunter. All right, you may banish a shambler up to 1 location to the left or right from your current location. All right, that's cool. Instead of, just banishing shamblers in the town section you're standing at, you can just shoot the ones in neighboring spaces with your cool rifle. All right. Astronomer. You may collect tentacles up to 1 location to the left or right from your current location. So again, not having to spend actions to move or being blocked by the Great Old One being in a space or preventing you move to where you want to is kind of nice. So anytime you have that ability to go mess with something in a neighboring section is cool. All right, we got the historian. May translate pages up to 1 location to the current left or right. Okay, so again, you can do the translate action without actually being at the location. That's nice. Each time you draw tentacles from the bag, you may put 1 tentacle back, then draw 1 more. All right, so that's nice because you'll draw out these eldritch tentacles from the bag, and those eldritch tentacles end up on the Great One mat and sort of strengthen the Great One. And of course, if they get to whatever the maximum strength level is, it's another way you can lose the game. It's interesting, a little solo assistant. So I guess it tells you what goes on with solo there. That's nice. Here's a shambler mat. So when you banish shamblers, you can move tentacles the same color from this mat to the discard mat. Okay, cool. So yeah, again, just another tracking item here for all of those shamblers, the zombies walking around. Oh, here's another character. We've got the cultist. Actually, I wonder if that's from the expansion. Anyway, you may take 1 tentacle from a town location when you are banishing or translating. That's cool because normally removing a tentacle is a whole extra action. All right, what else do we have here? We got all the old ones. I was gonna do them last, I think. So let's look at these other mats. All right, so the discard mat. All right. Oh, it tells you what these icons mean. All right, that's nice because, I saw that icon out there and I didn't remember exactly what it meant. But out here on the table, we'll have, the matching symbol with a definition telling you what actually you should be doing. All right, cool. Oh, right. Yeah, activating the matching Great Old One power. So that's what that symbol meant. And that means the Great Old One's power is something special, specific to the one that you are playing. All right, so this is the Necronomicon for the Cult of Chaos expansion. I don't know if they both go out. I would imagine not. But anyway, the idea is There'll be some tentacles around here that get the chaos tentacles that get removed to the discard mat when you complete stuff. But the idea is you need to, and the copy that I played had really neat little tablet looking page things. So the final version is going to have those as well. I don't seem to have them in this version. Yeah, so eventually you just need to clear everything off of here, and then you can start sealing portals. All right, so let's take a look at the great old ones. I saved the big best stuff for last. And in the rule book somewhere it talks about their strength. So Nyarlathotep, I think, is the weakest, followed by Yog, Soloth, and Yig, and Cthulhu. And then, there is other ones like Mormo, and I'm not sure where this one would fall in the difficulty level. All right, so this is the strength track, right? That gets increased, and then I think the Eldritch Tentacles go here. I'm not sure. And then, yep, so here's the different colored powers for this great old one. And then at some point you flip this over. I think when you have translated all the pages, you flip it over, and then you start trying to seal the portals. Okay, so there's Mormo, and here's Boss Satan. I don't know how to pronounce any of this stuff. Not really up on my Lovecraftian terminology. Oh, I found some more characters in here. Okay. Scientist may always use 2 tentacles of one color equal to 1 tentacle of another color when banishing or translating. Oh, that's cool. And when banishing a Shamular, may use any color tentacle as a wild. All right, that's cool, because normally, you have to use, like I said, the tentacles are almost like currency in the game. All right, there's Nyarlathotep, which is the one you were supposed to start with when you're playing them. All right, so there's that great old one. Here's the hardest one, I think, at least of the basic ones. So here's Cthulhu. Obviously, you would expect Cthulhu to be the toughest to beat. There you go. There's Yig. That's pretty cool, actually. The art on that one is pretty cool. I don't know offhand who the artist is for this. Atlashnacha. All right. There you go. Again, they all have different things that they do that makes them slightly different. Yog Sothoth. All right. Cool. And Dagon. Hey, I'll show that to my kid. I think he'll like that art a lot. All right. I wonder how old it's expected to be for kids to be able to play this with you. I mean, it's cooperative, right? So you would think it wouldn't be too old. But yeah, there you go. All right. So I just ran through real quick this Tiny Epic Cthulhu box and showed you, I think the interesting thing are the city locations and the mats and things like that, because those are going to, I would assume, basically be the same in the final product. But then there's going to be all kinds of cool components as well. So again, I've played this game, but I'm excited to get it to the table again. I'm also going to be taking this to Dice Tower Convention in 2024, which is coming up in July. So if you're going to be in Central Florida, you're going to be at the Dice Tower East Convention in 2024. I will have this there, and you are welcome to just take this and play it, and then let me know what you think about it. Anyway, yeah. So if you look in the description of the video, we have a Discord channel. You can come over. You can talk about anything Tiny Epic or whatever. We just love talking about games and stuff like that. So come join us there, or leave a comment on the YouTube video if you want. Otherwise, until the next one, thanks for joining me.